Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Power of the Tribe. Welcome home 220. My guest today, I have to start with this. He now at this point has over 30 books that he's written. Talk about being prolific. He helps companies turn prospects into promoters. He's two types of speakers in one, a professor and a performer, or as one client put it, he delivers college lectures in a comedy store format. He lands, and that's fabulous. Again, some of his books include The Art of Managing People, Charisma, The Platinum Rule, Collaborative Selling, and Communicating at Work. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome Dr. Tony Alessandra. Tony, welcome.
Thank you, Maureen. Glad to be here.
Good. And so we were talking beforehand, and I have to always bring this up. So Tony's also a New Yorker that has replanted into the fabulous city of San Diego. So I love that. Anyway, so Tony, so you've given so much to the world with your writing, with your lecturing, with your coaching, and that's just a great gift. As an inspirational leader, what is your secret to living life to the fullest with connection and zest, some fun along the way?
Well, I have some sayings that I live by, all right? What goes around comes around. Everybody knows that one, but I preach it, I live it, I preach it to my kids. What goes around comes around, and it might not come around from the same individual. So it's just being a good person. It's karma. So that's one of my life philosophies. Another one is, every bad cloud has a silver lining. Every silver lining has something negative in it. Everybody's going to have ups and downs. And again, another saying that I live by and I preach is, this too shall pass. So even when bad things are happening, I tell my kids, I tell the people that I'm coaching and speaking to, this too shall pass. Now, it's not only with the negative things, even good things, this too shall pass. So, just, go with the flow, go with the flow. I tell my employees when they tell me that they have a very difficult client, I tell them, do you have some real easy clients? And they say, yeah. And I said, it all averages out. You have the easy ones, you have the difficult ones. And as long as the difficult ones are not abusive, it all evens out. Just go with the flow. My platinum rule, that's probably the biggest one that I live by, and the biggest one that I've been preaching since 1974. Wait a second, does that age me? 1974. Forget it. Don't do the math, Maureen. Don't do the math. But the platinum rule is sort of a twist to the golden rule. As you know, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I have to tell you, I believe in that rule 110%, the golden rule, when it comes to values, ethics, honesty, consideration. But when it comes to one-on-one communication, when it comes to connecting with other people, it can in fact backfire. And I will tell you, moving from the East Coast, New York City, New Jersey, and then moving out here in San Diego, I practiced the golden rule. I treated people in San Diego the way I would like to be treated, a New Yorker. You see the problem here. I came on too strong, too aggressive, too in your face. And it just rubbed people the wrong way. And I realized that, there's an old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans. So San Diego is very different than New York and New Jersey. And as a result, I had to change my approach. And that's when I came up with the platinum rule. The platinum rule is do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Now think about that. Treat people the way they want and need to be treated. People are different. And if we can have a way to determine how they are different, for instance, I'm very fast paced, but there are people that are slow paced. So if I'm constantly fast paced with slow paced people, it flusters them. It irritates them. So when I see that I am with a slower paced person, I slow down. So one aspect of adjusting behavior and practicing the platinum rule is pace, faster pace, slower pace. So and when I'm back in New York City, which I go a lot, I am fast paced. You know, that New York comes back out. So when in Rome, do as the Romans. The other thing that I think is important is to understand that some people are task oriented and others are relationship oriented. All right. So I tend to be task oriented. And I will tell you that there are times where I can communicate with somebody and I want to get right down to business. Or when I answer emails, you know, some people jokingly, I hope it's jokingly, say to me, Tony, how come you answer your emails with one word? Yes, no, maybe, tomorrow. And I say, I'm, you know, that's just, I'm task oriented. But knowing if somebody's relationship oriented, instead of getting right down to business, I'm going to say, hey, Maureen, it's really nice meeting you. I know you've lived in New York. Now you're in San Diego. Tell me a little bit about what brought you, you know, see what I'm doing here, as opposed to, you know, just getting right down to business. So one of the things that I really preach and have for all these years with the Platinum Rule is to make sure that you determine whether somebody is faster paced or slower paced, more relationship oriented or task oriented, and then simply adjust your behavior so that you lessen the interpersonal tension that might occur if you didn't make that change. So that's it. You know, do you remember that that sitcom? I mean, incredible sitcom for the times. All in the Family. Archie Bunker, remember? And he had a saying that you know, it's kind of a in-your-face saying when he talked to his wife Edith. He said, "Edith, you know why we don't communicate? It's because I speak in English and you listen in dingbat." That's what he used to call her. But if Archie truly wanted to communicate with Edith, what would he have learned to speak?
Dingbat.
Exactly. You know that old book, very, very multi-million selling book, Men Are From Mars?
Women Are From Venus.
Women Are From Venus. Mm-hmm. So the whole concept of that book really is like the Platinum Rule. And that is, if men want to communicate more effectively with women, they would learn to speak and understand Venetian. And women, if they wanted to communicate more effectively with men, they would learn to speak and understand Martian. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. If they both behaved and spoke according to their own language, they would bypass each other. They would not connect. So those are some of the things that I live by, I preach, to create an inspirational life, more effective communications, you know, connecting with people, and really living a positive life as opposed to a negative life.
There's something that you attributed to when it comes to how different people can approach things differently. Someone can be more analytical, someone else can be more promoter. And that a really amazing skill is that when you're able to shift from your natural personality and then relate to that person on theirs, that's when communication really happens. It's just what you're saying.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You know, there's a lot of, I'm a real advocate of 4-style models because of the simplicity of them. My Platinum Rule model had the director, the thinker, the relator, the socializer, DISC, yes, which is the big one that I actually sell, the DISC assessment. So there's the high D, which is dominant behavior. That's typically mine. There's the high I, which is influence or interactive. That's more of the socializer, the outgoing person. That's you.
That's me.
Yeah. There's the S, which is the steady, relater, the more amiable.
The supporter.
The supporter, exactly. And then there's the C, which is, as you said, the more analytical, thinker, cautious, conscientious style. And each person needs to be able to learn to speak the language of the other styles. It doesn't mean you become the other style, because some people say, well, am I being manipulative? Am I being a chameleon? No. You know, again, if you were going to another country and you did not know how to speak their language, let's say Germany or France, and you didn't know how to speak their language, there would not be much communication, much connecting with the people. But if you learn to speak and understand their language, let's say I'm going to Germany. I learned to speak and understand German. Does that mean I become German? No, I'm still myself. But what I've done is I have learned something to allow me to connect with other people. So that's what these behavioral patterns are, the D, the I, the S, the C. We learn to speak the behavior, the language, the pattern of these other styles so that we can connect with them.
And then when you actually understand where someone that might be a completely different personality is coming from, that brick wall is no longer a wall. It's a wall of, oh, well, I don't look at it that way, but they do. So, all right, I could see that. And it's just so much more understanding and so much easier when all of that is just removed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I have 4 kids, and believe it or not, there's a D, an I, an S, and a C. And it really has been a challenge, because how I speak to one cannot be the same way I speak to another. I could speak to one in a very high D, in your face, and it wouldn't phase the high D child. But if I did that with the high S child, the steady, relater, amiable pattern, just the tone of my voice, I start seeing tears well up in that child's eyes. So I mean, I have to learn to do things. One of my children constantly, when she calls me, starts talking about something, and I have to tell her, look, you know that I don't like all the buildup. Just tell me why you're calling. Just get to the point. And then if I want to know some of the details, let me ask you. But don't build it all up. I don't know where it's going. So anyway.
I can't believe you have one of each. That's how life works.
It's a good training ground for me.
And when you're able to make that shift, it really does. There's an appreciation for the other person, because you're taking the time to realize their style, and then everything is just easier.
It's easier for the relationship. Let me clarify something. When you actually, I call it adapt. So I'm moving from, let's say, a D to an S or a D to an I, whatever it is. When I adapt, I am actually taking on more personal stress to reduce the interpersonal stress. But remember, it's only for a short period of time. So, I mean, it's just like exercise. You get used to it.
I love fabulous. Okay, so what is your message for the world, Tony?
Not much different than what I've already said. Just really be good to people. Be positive. People do not like negative people. They don't want to be around negative people. I try to find the good even in bad people, and I don't look for the bad in good people. I just take that. But there's even good in bad people. My wife sometimes says, I don't understand how you attract all these sometimes odd people with these idiosyncrasies that they have. And she said, but I guess it's your ability to just be tolerant of people and always looking for whatever that good is in that person, that's what you focus on. You don't focus on all the other stuff that might be distracting to other people. So when I was in high school, college, I was always an advocate, a protector of people who were bullied. I did, even if I didn't know the person, I did not like bullies picking on other people, whether they were nerds or whatever. I just, I fought for them, and literally fought, like fist fights, to protect people who were picked on. And that's probably carried over to my whole life. And I really believe that a lot of the things that I've accomplished in life were blessings to me for all the things that I've done for other people. I really think that they were gifted to me. So I just, just be good, be happy, be positive, be a good communicator. Seriously, a good communicator with people. Listen more than you talk. Ask more than you tell. Simple things, just simple things that have a profound impact on your relationships with other people.
I love that. I love that. So it's a new year, and it's also a new decade. So what's in store for Dr. Tony this year?
Well, this year still work hard. At this point of my life, I should be retired. I'm 72. This year I'll be 73. But I told my staff in my company, my assessment company, that I am going into semi-retirement. So I'm only going to work 8 hours a day. That's my semi-retirement. Yeah. But what I am doing this year is I really am looking at, there's going to come a point down the road, not this year, but down the road, I would say 5 to maybe 7 or 8 years from now, that I will, in fact, possibly be retired. What do I do? This year will be 50 years I'm working full time. What am I going to do? So that's what I've really been reflecting on. Do I do more volunteer work, such as, maybe go on boards of nonprofits? Do I travel a little bit more than I have been? I believe me, in my career, I've traveled so much. Just on one airline, I have 12.5 million frequent flyer miles.
Wow.
I do travel a lot. But I said to my wife, would you be bothered by the fact that when I retire, that maybe once a month for 2 or 3 days, that I travel to Florida, New York, Jersey, Washington State, you name it, and spend a day or two with some of the people I went to school with, some of my friends from both high school and college? She said, no, I'd love for you to do that, So that's something that I've been reflecting on. So, this year I'm still going to work. I always try to be a better person, and by changing habits, let's say a bad habit to a better or a good habit, it's important to understand that you have to take it in little bite-sized pieces. You have to do a little bit at a time. Let's just say somebody who doesn't exercise, that person's not going to start exercising an hour a day. You do one push-up, for a couple of days, then you go to 2, and so on. So I'm looking at little shifts I'm always looking for little shifts to be better. After all these years, I'm in a state of constant self-improvement. My mother always had a statement for me. She said, she always used to call me Anthony, not Tony. Anthony, you have to go the extra, no, not mile. See, that's it. For her, it was the extra inch, a little bit each day. Learn one more word, do one more push-up, give one more compliment. Just go the extra inch. And once you go a whole bunch of inches, guess what? It's a mile.
Went a foot. Yeah, they went a mile.
Anyway, that's what's in it for me this year.
Okay, so I do need to tell you something, and I'm like, somehow I'm not going to find this surprising, but that whole, as you shift to go visiting people once a month and all the adventures of that, what does that sound like?
What does it sound like? I'm not sure. What does it sound like?
It sounds like the formula to another book.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My friends jokingly say I've written more books than I've read, which is not true. It is not true. But who knows? We'll see. It's. I just want to, as you get older, you start looking back on your relationships, and some of them that you haven't stayed in touch with some people as frequently as you would like. So I'm going to make it a point starting this year to make more connections with my old friends and my speaking colleagues, my business colleagues.
So I tell you what, I'm going to put a date on some calendar, and we get to have lunch again in Brennan and Carr. Have you ever been there?
No, I don't think so. Where is it?
Brennan and Carr is one of the oldest, just right on the corner, roast beef, the most amazing broth, and it's just this little place, and there's nowhere else like it. We get to do that.
Yeah, we would.
And it's in Brooklyn.
We're both in San Diego, so why shouldn't we? We just, by the way, for our listeners right now, we were talking about being New Yorkers and growing up in New York City, and then realizing that both of us right now are in San Diego, and her daughter, is it your daughter?
Yes.
Goes to school 3 blocks from where I live. So, I mean, it's amazing. And really what we should do is when you drop your daughter off for school or pick her up in the afternoon, more likely when you drop her off, if that's possible.
Yeah.
You run over and grab a cup of coffee, maybe at Starbucks or something like that.
I mean, there's so much down there. I'd love to. So let's do that. Let's do that. We can even do something this week. Let's be spontaneous. So okay. Yes, we get to. But the Brennan and Carr thing, we get to do that too, because it's just one of those places.
Yeah, no, I love food.
That's a New Yorker in us, that's for sure. This is a trip that I was like, to be continued. Let's do coffee. And notice how I changed that finally. I didn't always say it that way. And I still don't think I have an accent, by the way.
You do. I don't think I have much of an accent, but I had to really work on toning my accent down being a professional speaker, because there were groups that would not hire me because of my accent.
Well, I got rid of the axe and the few
axe.
other that's finally gone, and so anyway, to be continued. I as I said, people say that Mom and my kids, you are someone that everybody remembers, and I don't even try, so that's a good thing. So, and it was really pleasure. Let's do coffee.
Okay.
All right, good. Soon, and Happy New Year.
Same to you.
All right, good. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, Maureen. Thank you.